Today, former Mets ace Noah Syndergaard says he's open to rejoining the team like that would ever happen. Paul Blackburn has another injury setback, and we say goodbye to a Mets legend on this edition of Mets Digest. What's going on, everybody? It's Flobo Boyce here, one half of the Mets Digest team. Myself, alongside Mike D'Angelo, are working tirelessly to bring you down with the Mets news and notes you want so much. If you're watching this showed up in your algorithm. Do yourself a favor, hit that subscribe button to make sure you are in the know when new content drops whenever we do so. What is going on, man? I don't know how you're feeling, but meaningful baseball in September is pretty red, man. It doesn't really happen every season, but now we are. I feel that the good times are rolling, but also takes me back to the mid 2010s where the Mets were a perennial playoff team in 15 and 16, and one man that took us almost to the promised land was Noah Syndergaard. Now, a couple days ago, I'm sure the time you heard this one is probably circulated on your other Mets news and notes outlets, that he appeared, Noah, on the Terry Collins Show. It's a podcast that really brings back some of the conversations with the former Mets manager, to a lot of people, their favorite Mets manager, with players past and present. And so the question came up whether or not Noah Syndergaard would be open to rejoining the team if given the chance. So if you don't really know about Noah, you know he kind of left the team in 2021. He went over to Anaheim, had some stints with the Dodgers, went on the IL with the Dodgers, went to Cleveland, Philadelphia, kind of bounced around, never really found his groove, the thing that made him Thor. And there's not one person that doesn't know that more than Noah. But here's what he said, which I thought was pretty interesting. Quote, I would love to come home to New York, Syndergaard said during an appearance of former Mets manager Terry Collins' podcast. Hopefully, that's in store for me. Hopefully, that's in store for me. I love the fan base. I love the city. Love the culture. Love the history. Love the passion. It's the best place to play. Now, here's some context, and shout out to the folks at SNY that added this here, and Danny Abriano, who wrote the article. Syndergaard left the Mets after the 2021 season, rejecting a one-year qualifying offer in order to sign a one-year deal with the Angels for $21 million. So, for context, when that offer was offered. Noah Syndergaard was on the shelf with an arm injury, with an arm surgery, Tommy John surgery. So the fact that he decided to turn that down to go to Anaheim left a really sour taste in some of the fan base's mouth. Myself as well. I felt like, wait, you became part of the team, not only part of the team, part of the culture, or at least the culture we thought was the culture in 2015. We loved the fact that he was arguing with Mr. Met on Twitter, and it looked like the Mets had did him a solid with that qualifying offer that he rejected, and he South the Angels. So the idea of Noah Syndergaard saying, I'm open to coming back, just tapping into my network was like, oh yeah, now you want to come back because the Mets are hot. It's going to go back to your ex who got a glow up, for example. So at first, I was like, no, we are done with you, Noah. Patooey. But I was thinking, you see, one of the things about the Cohen era here with the Mets team is that they're willing to invest in people and systems that just wasn't there before. Now, you can argue that's very much a small team kind of situation, but you look at Luis Severino, you look at Sean Manaea, guys that really, really on top of mind when it came to the pitching situation. Even some of the pickups we got with Stanek and Maton and finding diamonds in the rough. And shout out to David Stearns and his team that's also changing season to season. But to find these elements that can work, or if they don't, sometimes they don't work. Like Jake Diekman got DFA'd. Sometimes they do work. Maton is kind of, or even Daniel Nunez when he was healthy became one of the stories of the season. Is there a team that can help out a pitcher, bring him back to prominence? It could be New York, even more so than the Dodgers. I know I'm kind of waxing poetic here, but maybe if there's only one franchise that really wants to take a flyer on Noah before he walks out, because I'm pretty positive he doesn't get signed to a team in 2025, it may be the end for Thor. But there are some good vibes there being part of that top tier rotation alongside Steven Matz and Jacob DeGrom and Zach Wheeler and Matt Harvey. And Matt Harvey was somebody who was in a very similar situation towards the end of his career, and nobody really picked him up towards the end, and he had to retire. Food for thought. And I wonder what you think. If Noah Syndergaard was well, not he was, he is willing to sign back with the team, even on a minor league deal, possibly to really have another chance in New York. Would you take a flyer on Syndergaard? Would you take a flyer on Thor, if nothing but for the vibes? Speaking of pitchers, another setback for Paul Blackburn. Remember, Paul Blackburn was a deadline acquisition, had a solid out, not great, went down with the arm injury, was coming back to be part of the rotation in that Toronto Blue Jays series, which he got scratched for Tyler McGill. And it looks like another injury, a lower back injury, has made itself known. Check us out here. Manager Carlos Mendoza confirmed prior to Tuesday's game against Toronto Blue Jays that the trade deadline acquisition will not return to the team for this weekend's Phillies series. So Toronto's out and Philadelphia is out. This comes off the heels of Blackburn suffering a setback in his rehab that forced the Mets to have Tyler McGill pitch Monday and instead. And to be honest with you, Tyler McGill, someone what I constantly questioned the effectiveness was, really put in the work. Blackburn is dealing with a lower back issue that popped up the day after September 3rd rehab start. Now, you have to feel for the guy. Got to a new team, a team that's competing more so than the Athletics, which was his own team. Gets the injury, gets a second injury, almost like Kodai Senga here. And Tyler McGill, here's somebody that we thought was going to be in the rotation, got sent down. I was kind of on the neutral and negative on Tyler. I'll be the first one to admit it. Maybe I'm being a bit too negative here. But has shown in his last go-round that he is worthy of being in that rotation, the ever-elusive number 5 spot, especially now Peterson's kind of been so reliable, he's being moved up to the 4 spot. And so I wonder what Paul Blackburn's going through on a mental level, but how long will it take for him to come back to play? And when he will he be at major league speed, especially if the Mets soldier on into the playoffs? And it's getting kind of hard to say if or not or when, because it's looking like if this hot streak holds with the fact we're winning series left and right, we will be going into playoffs currently in the wild card race situation, wild card 3, wild card 2, and Arizona's not having the best week and a half. It's very possible that maybe October baseball in Queens. Not here to jinx it though, but I wonder if Paul Blackburn will be 100% in time to go for that. It remains to be seen. And finally tonight, as I think my team, the Metropolitans, are so much leaning into history and celebrating the heroes that helped its team get to where it is today, we have very sad news to report that Ed Kranepool, one of the original New York Mets from way back in 1962, the longest tenured Met of all time, has passed away at the age of 79. And well, while that's pretty sad to say, I just want you to know, in the bottom of my heart, having someone that had so much joy for the team, being able to be an ambassador, even when his playing career was over, is something I always think about. I remember the old timers growing up back in Brooklyn, my neighborhood and my school's neighborhood, is people would say, hey man, Ed Kranepool was just one person who's willing to go, rather go to bat for the team literally and figuratively, just was an upstanding gentleman. And I also am so proud that we have an ownership group, we have a team that's just so forward to bring with praise for someone who contributed so much to the franchise. 1969 world champion, the Miracle Mets, definitely will be in the annals of New York sports glory. Well, that does it for me on this edition of Mets Digest. Let me know what you think about Noah Syndergaard's appealing to be one with the team once more, about Paul Blackburn's just bad luck, and if you have any Ed Kranepool stories, let me know in the comments below. I would love to hear it. Flobo Boyce here signing off, and of course, as always, it is LGM to the bitter end.